All right, you guys should be good to go.
Thank you, Patricia. And so welcome everybody to our jam session on counseling. I mean, we're a small enough group where you could unmute yourselves and maybe we could go around the room and just, some introductions on who you are and maybe where you're coming from. And I'll start with Kim because I see her on my screen first, and then you could just popcorn out, Kim.
Hi, Kim Walker from Hesperia Adult School, and excited to be here to learn about transitions from your region.
Great, thank you, Kim. And who do you call on?
I will call on Lonnie. L-A-N-I?
Yes. Hi, I'm Lainey, and I am from South San Francisco Adult School. I am the transition navigator. And I'm going to say Kaylee?
Yeah, it's Kaylee. I'm a counselor at Pastor School for Adults in Auburn. And then what am I supposed to say? I joined a little late.
Oh, no, you can popcorn to somebody else to introduce themselves.
Oh, I don't know who's been introduced.
So far, it's just been Kim and you.
Oh.
And Lonnie.
Okay, how about Pete?
Pete Gonzalez, San Bernardino Valley College, transition counselor for the adult education program. And I'll go with Ashlyn.
Oh, we can't hear you, Ashley.
There we go.
There
we go. Awesome. Hey, everybody. My name is Ashlyn. I'm the CTE program coordinator at West Hills College, Coalinga, in the Central Valley, west side of Fresno County. And I also oversee our adult education program.
And if you could call on someone, Ashlyn.
Right. We'll go with Jorge.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. My name is Jorge Salcedo Daniel, and I'm the CTE acting faculty at San Bernardino Valley College and Santiago Canyon College, and I'm also a coordinator there as well. So good to see everyone. I will popcorn. Has Elaine gone?
She has it.
Okay.
Hey everybody. I'm Elaine Weber, and I'm principal at Lompoc Adult School and Career Center, and we're not a very big school, so I wear a lot of hats. Nice to meet you.
Great, Elaine. Who do you want to popcorn over to, Elaine?
Oh, well, I might have missed everybody. Let's see, has Neil chimed in yet?
No, he hasn't.
Neil, are you there?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Elaine. Hi, Emma.
Hey, Neil, you wanted to join the cool kids, right?
That's right. I'm not camera ready, so I'm not going to turn my camera on, but welcome, everyone. I'm here to support Emma.
Well, thank you.
We've been working on transition for a long time, so I'm really excited about the work she's doing. So I'll call on Maria.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Lopez. I also work for San Bernardino Valley College. I'm a transitions counselor for the Inland Career, or not the Inland Career, but the Inland Empire Consortia. Inland Career is one of the adult schools that we service.
Yes. And so in this session, I'm just kind of moderating, but Pete and Maria are the two content experts. They've been doing this for quite some time now. And we want to make sure that before you leave, we can answer some of your more pressing questions. And but we're going around just introducing ourselves. We are a small enough group that you could definitely, unmute yourself, ask questions. We want this to be more of a dialogue. And Neil, I kind of interrupted you. You didn't call on someone. Did you want to popcorn over to somebody? We still have Brett, Josie, and Corley, who is just joining us. That we'll ask them to introduce.
I did Maria, so Maria.
Oh, you did Maria.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll pick Rocio.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rocio Pedroso, and I am the Director of Adult Education Consortium in Gavlan, a region which comprises 3 cities, or I would say medium-sized to smaller size. And I'm new to the position, so I'm excited to hear and learn.
And that's right, Rocio. I just recognized your name. We did have an initial dialogue about your new position. And so welcome. Yes. So we have a few people that are just, checking in now, just joining us, but would definitely like to hear from either Brett, Josie, Audrey, got some new people coming in, and then we'll start with some of our questions. We have some kind of questions that were written out by the Cape Tap team, but we also want to make sure we're answering your questions that you have specifically about counseling. So, so as soon as we kind of go through and have everyone, finish introducing themselves, room might get a little too big for that. We'll ask that if you have a question that you introduce yourself when you ask the question. That way we could kind of move into the dialogue. And Josie says her mic doesn't work. She's from Watsonville, Aptos, and Santa Cruz Adult Education, and she's new as a counselor. So welcome. So maybe we could start a little bit, Maria, if you could share a little bit about what you do, kind of the context of transition, and then Pete, you could as well, and then we'll see if there's any questions in the room.
Sure. So, so we are San Bernardino Valley College counselors. So our role really is to go out to the adult schools in the region. So we have 5 adult schools, but we do have, our district has 2 community colleges. So we service the 3 adult schools that are feeders into San Bernardino Valley College. So the 3 are Colton Adult School, Rialto Adult School, and Inland Career Education Center Adult School, formerly known as the San Bernardino Adult School. So between Pete and I, we service these 3. We do have another counselor that services Yucaipa Adult School and Redlands Adult School. And those 2 schools are feeders to the 2nd community college within the district, which is Crafton Hills College. So our role really is we dedicate a day, a full day. We're there from 8 to 5 at the adult school. And our role really is just to talk to the students who are completing GED, high school diploma, or the advanced levels of ESL that are interested in coming to the college. We help onboard them into the college. Within that work, we provide a lot of workshops where we do like College 101. We do like financial aid, talk about financial aid. We talk about the different programs and services like CTEs and degrees that we offer within the college. Usually when we get to the last step as a counselor, we have to do education plans. So when we get to that final step, we often promote that the students come into the college so that they kind of shake off that fear of, I don't want to step into this big college campus. I'd like my little adult school cozy feeling. And I think that's the gist of what we do. I guess I'll pass it on to Pete if I forgot something.
Yeah, I think for me, the only thing that I'll add is, Maria and I's role and our other counselor that'll be coming on here soon shortly with our program. Our roles are very unique in the sense that we are the traditional counselors that you would, kind of see at the community college level. But we also have kind of almost like a coordinator type feel to us as well, because we're at numerous sites, right? So those different sites will kind of, depending on what their needs are, we kind of tailor our services to that. So we're at the adult schools, we help the students transition to the college. And then from there, we've had to get, kind of do something very unique and try to find ways to help the students integrate into our programs here on the college, because we leave again and we're back out at the adult school. So just kind of one of those things where we're here, we bring the students in, trying to make them feel comfortable, but the next day we're back out at the adult schools, kind of repeating that process. So I think where traditional community colleges, that everything's cyclical, where you'll have your group of students usually for the semester or even the year. For us, it's almost week to week where we're just kind of constantly transitioning students over. So our roles are a little bit different than what a traditional college counselor I think would be.
Thank you. And so going back, to when AB 86 started, we had our 7 objectives. One of those objectives was the seamless transition piece. And so Maria, I'm going to say, is one of the pioneers. She came early on. It's almost 6 years ago that she started, and it was part of our regional plan in our discussions that we needed individuals to be able to help adult ed students navigate the system for community college. So just as an overview, Maria and Pete are community college employees. They are counselors that work with the regular counseling department, but they're dedicated, because they're paid out of Cape funds. 100% of their time is spent only working with adult ed students and transitioning students. So I want to be able to open this up to, if you guys would like to either put your questions in the chat and I could read them if you're having audio or microphone issues. And if you have specific questions and want to raise your hand, again, it's a small enough group that we could definitely do that.
So is this jam session for transition from adult school to community college, not necessarily from high school into adult school? Is that correct?
Correct, because most, again, part of the legislation is we can only work with students who are 18 and older.
Mhm.
And I know Neil is here and he'll always, correct me in terms of the type of CAPE transition is either they start at an adult ed school and we transition them into either credit, non-credit, when they go from non-credit to credit. So there's only certain ways they capture that population. So if they, just come straight off the street and go straight into credit, they really don't get counted in some of the CAPE transition work. But if they come through an adult ed site, then they will get counted in our numbers.
Got
Is that
it.
right, Neil?
That is correct. There's also dual enrollment, which has a high school component as well as SB 554, which is a adult school component. So
Mhm.
there are kind of mirror processes to go with the high school because we serve adult secondary, high school diploma and things like that. So you'll see similar programs that the high school sometimes gets a lot more share of the funding than say the adult school, but we have similar type pathways.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I mean, one of the presentations we just did for a regional program actually on Tuesday was Maria and Pete walked through also what the barriers are that adult ed students have. Do you have any, questions around strategies for overcoming barriers? Yes, Neil.
I did have a question. It's not barriers, but the legislature is looking at transition. They're big on students moving from the adult school to community college, degree applicable. And so my problem with that is I'm not sure our data is accurate to reflect that transition. So is there anything you guys are doing at the local level to maybe capture those students that are transitioning? Because sometimes we do have that data, but it comes out too late for you to use in the planning. So I don't know if Pete and Maria are into the data part of this, but I wanted to see if you guys are making any inroads into that.
So welcome to my struggle. I've been doing this manually since we started. We've had various meetings with various people about how to facilitate that data tracking. In fact, one of the probing questions that we're probably going to lead into, that was one of them. How are you tracking transitions? Because I want to know how people are doing it, if there's a system, if there's a program to facilitate that. So right now, I just have a spreadsheet where I do track those transitions. I'll track, Pete likes to call it a beast of a spreadsheet because it's really intricate. It's very detailed, but it does track everything from what school they transitioned from, including what matriculation or what pieces of the matriculation they've done to come into the college, such as application, financial aid, orientation, things like that. So we do track that. It's very, very manual.
Great. One thing on a wish list someone gave me is for the state to have a case management system, which probably would help with that tracking, right?
Yes, in fact, before I started to do it manually, before we went to MIS tracking, I was using TOPS Pro. And so one of the questions that I asked Emma is there any way that the TOPS Pro can maybe add a section for counseling? And I mean, everything's already there, student name, social, all of that good stuff. But maybe adding like a college ID number and a community college section within TOPS Pro, and then we can all go back to that.
Yeah, because our college is not WIOA funded, so we don't report through TOPS Enterprise, so that created another issue as well. But I do see Audrey's hand up, so I'll give you the stage, and then Pete, if there's anything you'd like to add on the data, we could go back to that.
I think data, this is also kind of data, but so Neil mentioned SB 554, where the adult students can now, get free. Do you guys also help with that, or is that a different team? You're doing both? And then I think because SB 554 has more data restrictions or more mandatory data collection, how are you dealing with that?
I can jump on that one. So we assist the students with their applications for the dual enrollment here at the community college. We actually have a program which is part of it's a Valley Now program, and they do all the heavy lifting for that. So they're the ones that actually have gone out, have created the MOUs with the high schools and the adult schools. They track all the paperwork. They actually have academic counselors a part of their program that the students will eventually end up needing to meet with those counselors. But we do have students that are, applying for the dual enrollment program. We assist them with the initial phases the same way we do with all the other matriculation steps of applying for the school and all that. And then we give that warm handoff. So we would actually, once the application is completed, the ed plan is completed by us, we help them register for the classes, then we actually hand them off to the Valley Now program, and those counselors there continue on the process. But it tends to be that those students still rely heavily on Maria and I, mainly because they're still at the adult schools and they see us on a weekly basis. So they'll still come through us for many of the questions regarding their dual enrollment. And I think we're just now getting ready to start our second semester because it is something new for us. So we'll kind of be able to see, how many of the students were successful in kind of balancing, taking courses at both campuses or at the adult school and in the college. So we should have some pretty good data coming up here in the next month or so, Maria, to see if any have continued with the dual enrollment program.
Right, and with the data, it's a little bit easier to track that because it's part of the admissions application, so they're coded differently. So the admissions office can simply just run a report off of that dual enrollment code. So that's a little bit easier to track. It's not so manual.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention too, when it comes to the data, I think part of the difficulties that we have is there's no identifier between the students from the adult school and the college, right? So I mean, we can try to track by name and by birthday, but right, it gets a little sticky when it comes to our undocumented students with the social. So that's the difficulty that we have, is that we know the students personally, so we could go and look at all the students that the adult school has kind of worked with and kind of pick out which ones have transitioned with us. But it's just that connection that is the failing part for us right now on that spreadsheet. So like Maria was saying, that spreadsheet that we have tons of information on there, and everything, kind of the students, all the steps students have taken with us. But it's hard to go back, walk over to the adult school and say, hey, which of these students are yours, right? Especially when we're talking 5 potential adult schools that are potentially feeding us students.
But how difficult was it though to change that application so that they actually coded different? Like, for us, we're having a hard time trying to keep track of our students. The system is not, we still have a lot of work, but how did you get them to change the application so that you had a dual enrollment checkbox?
So they have an actual dual enrollment application that the students need to complete, but they still do the regular Valley College application, which then I think they go in and they backfill, right, Maria, that based on that student ID number, then they'll tag them as dual enrollment students.
So part of the initial questions is actually question number 1. It says, what is your university or your college status coming in? So the very last question says, in high school, currently enrolled in high school, or currently enrolled in adult school. while coming to college, and that automatically flags them how difficult that was to do. I couldn't answer that because that's through the Open CCC. That's not even at the college, that's the state level. In fact, there's an issue with that because when students put that they've completed high school diploma or GED, the next question is, did you attend high school or adult school or foreign secondary school, et cetera, et cetera? If the student puts high school diploma and adult school, it doesn't match. So it kicks that, it makes that an error, which it doesn't make sense. I sat in a webinar, so that's why it's difficult to track where the student's coming from, because it doesn't, the high school diploma does not match the adult school option. So even if it was a simple report that we can eventually run, right now it's inaccurate because it doesn't read the adult school student as a high school completer.
And I think now the CCC apply, all that heavy lifting, like I said, was done by the Valley Now program. So they were the ones that held all those meetings, working with admissions and records, and I believe the state, and to kind of fix all that. So we could definitely get you in contact with the coordinator that kind of went through that process for our Valley Now program, and she'll have a lot more answers, the behind the scenes kind of stuff that took place.
I'll come over
Thank
to you,
you.
Kathy, real quick, because I know want to finish Audrey's question, but I see Kathy has her hand up. And I'll say, Audrey, that was the beginning of this. When we first received the legislative language for SB 554, we convened several meetings on the campus that involved our admissions and records and our dean of counseling to bring all of this information to them and say, you know, we don't necessarily know how we're going to do this, but this is there for us to be able to take advantage for our adult ed population. And they worked through a lot of the legality side of it, creating those boxes to check on the back side of it, creating the application, creating the MOU. So it was several months of work just to get to the point where we are today. And it doesn't mean we're not going to change some of that. We'll adapt it based on, you know, the needs of our students. So I hope that answers your question. And then if it does, okay, then we'll go over to Kathy, who's had her hand up.
Thank you. So first, Audrey, you are not alone. We have the same issues. I just want you to know. I am in Mendocino County, and our local community college is Mendocino College. And I work at the adult school with my high school diploma students. One of the things that we found was that the same thing that these guys are talking about, that you're talking about. When I tried to help a student do CCC apply or CC apply, whatever it is, when I tried to help them do that, there's a couple of check boxes or a couple of drop-down menus that did not allow us to check what their real status was. And so we went to admissions and records, and they said, well, we already have a dual enrollment form. And we said, we know, but that's for high school students. These aren't really high school students. These are adult high school students. It's different. So we had to have many meetings with admissions and records and attendance people until we finally came up with, I think this is sort of the form that Pete's talking about. There's like a form you have to fill out, and it's literally, I have to approve the classes they're trying to take. And so I have to go through it with them. And that was an agreement they made. And they suggested our local community college, if this helps at all, our local community college suggested that we take our students with us and that we meet with whoever it is in admissions, that we don't have them do it by themselves or with us at our site, because we kept running into drop-down menu choices that we didn't know how to handle. And we got different advice from a bunch of different people. So our admissions, we had to have a number of meetings with admissions to just say, look, we're sorry, but you have to meet with these people in person. We need to do a warm handoff. And that warm handoff has made all the difference in the world for us to be able to dual enroll our high school diploma students. So I don't know if that helps. And I know I'm sort of repeating what you guys said, but you're not alone. And so there's a lot of us out there that are doing this. My question is, I'm thinking that I just want a little bit of advice from you guys. I would like to have our local community college come to the adult school in our evening class time and do a presentation for the next semester. Like when spring semester's catalog comes out, which is this month or this upcoming month, I want somebody to bring a bunch of those catalogs and meet with my students and look through it with them, so that there's somebody there that isn't me going, I can't help you anymore. And maybe we could do that, like get a bunch of people enrolled for spring semester right then. Has anybody tried something like that is my question. And what do you guys think? What kind of walls am I gonna, bump my nose up into?
That's part of the work that Pete and I do. So even though I say we dedicate a full day, 8 to 5, we cater to the adult schools and the student population. So if we need to be there in evening, we have countless weeks where we work all the way till 7:30, 8 p.m. We have no problem doing that. So for my recommendation would be see if Mendocino has an adult ed program, start there, because that's technically part of their role is helping the adult ed student. So start there. If they don't have one, like Valley College didn't have one prior to Emma and myself. If they don't have one, go to the Dean of Counseling and say, can we get an evening counselor to come speak with our
He's
students?
one of my best buddies. So that's a great idea. I hadn't even thought of calling him. So yay. And I know he wouldn't mind if I bought him a drink. So yay.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would say
But I
another,
didn't tell you guys that.
no, another thing is, contact your consortium director. Ideally, that is their role, is to be able to implement all of the AB 104, objectives.
And the
and
544, all that stuff.
all of that
And
stuff.
I sent her an email a couple of
Okay.
days ago. So that's the other thing. I just wanted to know if you guys had a suggestion for who should be in the room. I feel like there should be somebody from admissions and records
Mhm.
that can help guide through the CC apply and the My Mendo and all that stuff, part of it for anybody that actually wants to enroll. Would that be, do you think they would be open to that?
So we've tried that in the past where we bring out individuals from those specific departments to come out. That can be very difficult logistically, right? Because you have people, as we know now, personnel issues are kind of across the board, right? Where people are wearing numerous hats, right? So to try to dedicate that, that person from admissions to come and financial aid. So for us, what's been successful is actually having, us as counselors that do kind of a broad strokes workshop on, this is financial aid type, right? We'll do a financial aid workshop. From there, each individual student has their own challenges or unique situation, and we try to answer what we can. But at that point, now we'll refer you over to financial aid, right?
But
So
at
that
least they
seems to
have a
really work better.
person. They now have a person that they've
That point of
connected
contact,
with
right?
that makes
Yes.
them feel more comfortable. And in I don't remember who it was, that I think it was you, Maria, that said they're in their comfort zone. They're in their
Mhm.
comfort space. They don't want to go over to that campus
Yeah.
yet. They're not ready. They don't know
Mhm.
anybody. And I think that matters for our adult students.
Oh, it definitely does. And what's been successful for us is to bring somebody out next month is too late already, right? We have basically a sequence of workshops that we do that start off with a college 101, right? The benefits of going to college. Then we do a financial aid workshop. Then we do programs and certificates, everything the college offers. And then we end it off with resources. And that's when we talk about our student accessibility services and first year experience and EOPS and all that, right? So by doing that, it's something that's constant with the students. It's always there, as opposed to, oh yeah, somebody came out 5 months ago and talked about going to college, right? And then once again, it's that familiar face. That same person's always there. Oh yeah, Pete had told me about financial aid. I see a workshop tomorrow and reminds me I needed to do my application, right? So it's something that's always constant there with them. And that seems to really work out for us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I won't take any more of your time.
No, we're good. And so Brett, I'll come back to you, but Maria, there is a question in the chat I didn't want to skip from Rocio, and this ties into, I think, some of the overview of what you do, because her question was, what is the transition rate if you have one, and how long for students to transition?
Excuse me, by transition rate, like meaning how many students per semester, or can you clarify a little? I think I'm not understanding the question.
Yeah, so a rate usually measures, you have a base, right? Your denominator, your numerator. Your numerator is the number of students who actually made it to the community college. Your denominator is going to be whatever. It's tricky. You want to do semester, year long. I mean, I don't know how you all do it, but it would be some measure of that sort. So just kind of what is, of those who are adult students, how many actually make it to the community college at a semester or year-long level, whatever measure you may use?
Yeah, that's a great question here. Let me actually pull up some of my data so I can best answer that because I don't have that number off the top of my head. But it's successful.
I think it just gives us perspective because I think no one's measuring that right now. And it's just really great to hear what you're all doing and kind of, gives us a point, a reference point.
What we have done in the past while Maria does that, Rocio, is we have on Maria's spreadsheet track the types of services they received. But it is all of the individuals that they start meeting from the beginning of the year at the adult ed sites. And so I guess, Maria, we could look at it from a perspective of how many you started meeting with, and then how many actually registered and enrolled. But I know in the past, Pete, in your presentation on Monday, you said sometimes it takes between 5 and 6 meetings with the student before they transition.
Yeah, as far as transition goes, we're kind of, we're tied into the semesters and kind of that process, right? So timeline is a bit difficult because if classes start in January, I can start an enrollment process of the end of December and have the student completely, completed with the enrollment process and starting classes within a week and a half to 2 weeks, right? And that happens a lot of times. Other times it's a 6-month period because, say classes start January and we meet them in February. And by the time, we're basically waiting for the semester to start. But it varies by student. It really varies on kind of when we get our hands on them. Some students, it's 4 or 5 appointments and we're completely done with the process. Up to from first contact to registered for classes. Others, it could be 10, right? And we see that more with our students because we work a lot with our ESL population. So with them, it takes a lot more time. Those ones that lack the digital literacy skills, those have to be online or in-person appointments. So, it just depends on that process. But, it just really, it's tailored to the student's needs and we adjust ourselves to whatever it is that they need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's wonderful. Amazing work.
And you have the numbers, Maria?
So I'm trying to pull up last year's, but for example,
I have it.
2018, 2019, and I'm going to give you the number that students actually registered. So we registered in that academic year, so fall and spring, 131 students, and this is basically our starting year. This was our starting year. I can tell you right now that I'm talking about this fall active 2022. We have 106 applications in for spring.
Wonderful.
So that's just to show you, and we're still working towards that number.
And I have the 21-22. So for 21-22, we had 1,351 contacts with students. That also includes, workshops, things of that nature. And for the year, let's see here, of that, 286 applications and 211 registered. And that's based off of that 1,300. But like I said, many of those are multiple contacts that have taken place. So of the 1,351, it's 543 unduplicated students.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. It's like almost 16-17%. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you. And Kim does say in the chat that Victor Valley Adult Education Regional Consortium also funds a transition counselor employed at the college that helps with dual enrollment and transition, and also does outreach to visit the districts each week. So thank you, Kim. And Brett, thank you for your patience. You've had your hand up for a while.
Hey, this stuff is worth waiting for. I mean, you folks are giving me hope. Brett Pluman, counselor, South Bay Adult School. And we just putting our agreement in place for our 554, transition students. And I'm hearing all these battles you're having, but to see you're on the other side of it, you've got these hundreds of students actually doing it is great. So that gives me hope. But my question is going to take transitions a little bit the other direction. what about referring students from the community college back to the adult school for the remedial classes? We have a language arts academy, we have a math academy. We've gotten this many referrals from our partner community college. And is that something you guys have in place?
We do, because we work really closely with our adult schools. We definitely do. In fact, I just had a meeting 2 weeks ago with our research analyst who pulls our data. She's going to provide me a list of students who have not yet completed GED or high school diploma, and then we're going to start to market. Hey, you want more financial aid? You want to qualify for additional grants? You might consider getting GED or high school diploma. So that's kind of work in progress. But currently what we do is when we run into that student who is questioning, should I do GED? Should I do high school diploma? The answer is always yes. And then we go through that explanation of why yes. Also, some of our adult schools offer programs that we don't offer, such as CNA, LVN, barber school, things like that. So we definitely do the reverse referral.
And what about not so much just the high school diploma GED,
So,
just
right.
remediation, just math and
So,
yeah.
so the adult schools do offer the ABE classes, and since
Yeah.
the colleges got, because of AB 705, there's no more remediation courses at the college. There are some students who choose to go back that, you know, we tell them, if you need a little extra support and our tutoring isn't cutting it for you, then maybe consider the adult school. So for us, it's not so much that we're not referring them. It's a lot of the times it's the student that chooses not to go. But we do have those conversations with them. That's part of our counseling piece with the student, because we tell them we want you to be successful. We don't want you to just be at the college because it's good numbers for us. We're looking at the student in holistically.
And that makes sense. And what I'm seeing a lot with our partner community college, similar to what you're sharing, is they have a lot of tutoring support available. And that's probably, you know, if I'm walking in the shoes of the student, I'd rather get that on site where I already am rather than, you know, take me backwards is kind of what I fear their thinking is.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. And Neil, you've had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to take it a little different direction. So in the old days of adult ed, our ESL student population didn't really transition. They liked coming to the adult school, enjoyed the classes. So I'm looking at the statewide data from Launch Board, and I'm seeing, you know, there's some transition for ESL students. The most likely is transition to CTE, and then a little bit less is transition to ASE, and then almost hardly none are transitioning to degree applicable. But what is the transition struggle for ESL students, and how difficult is it to get them, you know, out of the adult school and moving into work, moving into a high school diploma class, or moving into a community college campus? I'm sure that must be hard.
Neil, have you heard our presentation on transition barriers and strategies?
No, but I've talked to you for like 8 years.
I know.
I can start off with that one. So we're very fortunate in the sense that we have a lot of support when it comes to the ESL courses that we offer here at the college. We offer essentially 2 levels. Our first level is our beginning level, which is very similar to what's being offered at the adult schools. And then we have an advanced level, which is a reading and comprehension ESL that prepares the students for college level courses. So for us, that's that kind of natural transition for the students that have taken ESL at the college, or I'm sorry, at the adult schools, that aren't necessarily ready or feel prepared to do ABE or GED, or just it's not on their radar. They're able to come in and take those advanced ESL courses with us and get them to the level that they feel more comfortable, right? With that, so when I first came on, I've been with the program going on almost 4 years now. I think we were offering 4 sections of ESL each semester. So 2 of the beginning, 2 of the advanced. This fall semester, I think we're offering, what is it, 15 or 16 sections, right, Maria? Both of the beginning and the advanced courses. So our program has grown substantially. So we've seen that it's easier for the students to now transition to us, with us, because they see that sequence, that following sequence. I've done all the ESL at the adult school. I want to continue ESL. You have what fits my need, right? The issue comes in, or the struggle comes in, correct me if I'm wrong, Maria, but now we have to help them figure out, is ABE GED the better path for you? Because based on your goals, your educational goals, or is it our advanced ESL classes? So we take the time to really have those conversations with the students to say, you might be better off staying here at the adult school and going through ABE or GED, or yes, it's a good time to jump and come with us through our advanced ESL classes, right? So that really comes down to a case by case. The other part of that is we've been very fortunate as well with the ESL staff at the adult schools that are pushing their students now because they see a solution, they see a pathway for their students. When ICEC, the San Bernardino Adult School, a couple of the ESL professors mandate that their students make appointments and come and see us. So that, and it's part of their extra credit that they give is their class. But the goal is to get them to see those options where you're not sitting in an ESL class for, or a program at adult school for 4 or 5 years, right? Not really advancing. So I don't know if you want to add on to that, Maria.
Yeah, so I think another one of their struggles is kind of what Kim Walker said is their documentation status, their medical status. So when they come and talk to us, we're that cheerleader, like, yes, of course you can do it. Yes, come to the college. Yes, you can do all these degrees or certificates. But then what does it look like for them at the end of the road? Are they actually employable? So a lot of the times those students choose not to pay for those classes because unfortunately they don't qualify for any type of aid. So now they're not only paying for a certificate or a degree that they're not going to be able to utilize. So that's a harsh reality for them. And so some of our ESL students choose not to continue with a degree or certificate for those reasons.
I'll just add at the higher level, because this kind of taps a little bit into what, Neil and the original dialogue was. When we created that sequence of classes at the college, we involved the adult ed sites. It wasn't created in a vacuum for the college. First, we started with our largest adult school with, San Bernardino Adult. You all know Jesse Galdames, and he came in. He's the vice principal that oversees ESL, and we brought in their sequence of courses. We brought in, CASAS cut scores. We sat with several individuals, including the dean and our lead faculty at the college, had, a dialogue around that on the alignment of, where do they leave off when they finish at adult ed and where do they come into the non-credit at the college and then credit at the college. So the sequence of classes was developed in conjunction, trying to take into account all of those barriers that we knew some of those students would have. Then we did the same with Rialto. Brought in their, teacher, their lead ESL teacher, sat with our academic faculty and so forth, did all of that together. So I think that buy-in really helps at the consortium level. So that way they know where their students are going and that we're not taking them in any way prematurely from the adult school when they're not finished or they're not ready to transition yet. So that's part of the dialogue. It is uncomfortable sometimes because then it becomes having to look past your students, our students is just the community students. And so it took a while to break out of that, but I'm going to say that that's what CAPE did. It broke everybody out of their silos. And so we took the opportunity to be able to sit at the table and develop these sequence of courses together. I don't know, Neela, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I want to add to that too. We're still, regardless of the student's residency status, we're still trying our very best to help them. What is it, about a year ago, the college adopted the Ed Code 76140, I believe, if my numeration is correct, where it brings the cost down to an undocumented student who takes 6 units or less to the California residency tuition fee, which is the $46 a unit versus almost $300 per unit. So students are more willing to pay $220 for a class for the semester versus almost $1,500. So we have seen for those reasons, we have seen higher student enrollment within our ESL classes, taking our offering from 4 classes to almost 15 sections.
Maria, just quick follow-up question. I know AB 540/SB 68 is a pathway for some undocumented students to get free tuition, but it's a little difficult because of the rigor required to qualify. Is that resonating at all on your campus, or is it 1 or 2 students that actually meet the 420-hour requirement? It's a real steep price for the adult students to qualify.
We do have a handful of students that do qualify for the AB 540, but a lot of our adult ed students, majority of them, I would say no. They're either resident citizens or neither, and they do not qualify for AB 540. We are working with them specifically, especially with this ed code that brings down that price. So if they've done ESL and then they go in and complete GED, that at least gives them about 1.5 years or 2 when we're counting hours. They'll come into the college for about another year paying that lower rate, and then that'll buy them and make them fit into the AB 540 category. So that is more math that I wanted to do within this job, but it's we are qualifying a little bit more students now.
Yeah,
Oh,
what
great.
I'm seeing is, so the 1,260 hour requirement, what we're seeing is students that are either way under or way over. So the ones that we are seeing that are qualifying have 2,000-3,000 plus hours, and they've been at numerous adult schools and have taken classes at the local church, and right, so they have all these things, all these transcripts that we compile, and we're able to kind of get them to qualify. So I've seen a lot of those students where, they've been trying to find their way, over the last 10, 15, 20 years to try to find a pathway into college. But yeah, so I think more so now, I think as Maria and I become more educated on it and kind of learn about all these additional options now, we're able to present that to the students.
And there is a
Great.
comment from
Great.
Kim that says they also invite TODEC and Catholic
Mhm.
Charities to speak to students. No sign-in required, and it is confidential to assist them. So thank you, Kim.
Neil, did you have another question?
I was just gonna say, where there's a will, there's a way, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds like you just have to be persistent and help those students. So I think that's what a lot of us are doing.
Yeah, and that's where the data collection piece that started a lot of this dialogue comes in, Neil, is that, it's not reflective in the MIS system, how many touch points go into transitioning a student. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but if anybody has, you could go ahead and either raise your hand, unmute. We still have another 12 minutes.
Hi, Kim Walker. I may have been driving and Zooming. I will never admit to that. We have an executive meeting with adult ed and our soups here in about 5 minutes. But I wanted to share, we do invite TODEC and Catholic Charities. We usually do it one Friday every quarter, open the room to families, students, community. We do not require a sign-in sheet because people are hesitant to put their name on anything when it comes to immigration or documentation status. We don't count it as service hours or anything like that, so there's no tracking of it, but it makes our students feel more comfortable, and TODEC is very helpful in helping them gather documents and complete some of their citizenship paperwork. So if I can encourage anyone to do that, they're a great resource.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Emma, you mentioned touch points. I was wondering if anybody out there is evaluating their program based on touch points, meaning, because, the outcomes say only so much, the touch points say so much more. So are you somehow evaluating your program, bringing in those touch points, which are a lot more than, say, the general outcomes that we track at the state level?
Yes, one of the things that we realized, Neil, this was, again, trial and error on some of these aspects is our sister college, Crafton Hills, had a classified position and had an advisor instead of a full-time counselor. And we realized there were some students, that weren't making that full transition because this individual was not able to do an ed plan, not able to advise the student at the same level as a counselor could. So we've actually revamped that position, and it'll be actually flying to create that position into a full-time counselor instead of a classified position that was not allowed to do a lot of the counseling duties. So we found that that was one less touch point to have to then hand them off to another person at the college that hadn't been working with them while they were at the adult ed site. So that was something that we learned over the last couple of years. To have the full-time counselors is extremely valuable because they're able to go from beginning to end. And I see there's someone that posted in the chat, how are the transition data interpreted or analyzed? Do students' goals matter?
So I guess I'll start with the second question. Goals obviously matter. We're not tracking that very consistently right now, to be honest. We are part of this academic year, we're trying a little bit harder to track their goals to see, what are they seeking, what is most popular between, the adult ed students compared to others. I know we often talk in our presentations how we try to sway all our female students away from child development. We tell them we offer other things other than child development. So goals do matter. But because students change their minds so often, it's not something we track too heavily. How do we interpret and analyze data? So I think Emma just touched on it a little bit, where we track all touch points. So Pete shared how last academic year we had over 1,000, 1,400, 1,500, I guess, contact points. And about half of them actually did the transition. So that's how we analyze it. We also look at, for the college level, we look at that the matriculation piece, because we want to find out, where did we lose them? Was it after the application? Was it after the orientation? Did they get to the education plan? Did they do everything except register? What happened? So we do kind of analyze that data. We do actually use that information to contact students. For example, students who applied to start fall 2022 that did some of the matriculation piece but didn't actually register. We'll contact them. We'll actually start contacting them right around this time to hopefully persuade them to come in spring. So that's how we utilize that data as well.
And I'd like to just add, so like I mentioned at the beginning, right, Maria and I, our role is very different than a traditional college counselor, where we kind of, wear numerous hats, to the point where Maria came on originally and you're with the program for what, 3 years, I believe, right? 2-3 years. The program, grew substantially. So I've been with the program now for 3, almost 4 years. And I think we're looking to bring in another counselor just because our schedules are completely booked out 2 to 3 weeks. So it's been kind of difficult to be able to kind of get to all the fine-tuning details. We just know that the program's growing, and our numbers have shown that it's successful. But it's always something that we want to get to, right? We really need to focus on this and that. We're also looking right now to hire a clerical position to be able to help us with all of the data and the tracking and returning the phone calls and the emails that we get. So it has proven a bit difficult just because we've grown so much over the last several years.
There is a comment from Elaine in the chat. She says, one observation is that going forward, I see students experiencing a barrier to pursuing degrees, etc., if they cannot be completely fully online. She says, we are in a rural area, by the way. So thank you, Elaine. So what are you seeing in terms of students either wanting online versus in person about from our adult ed students.
You're asking me or?
I know anybody in the room or Maria and Pete,
Um,
what are you seeing with students when they register? Are they having issues and say, I only want in person or I prefer online?
Our school is fully online
Okay,
because we have security issues in our area and on the campus that we're locked down all the time. So what's happening though is it's a 45-minute drive on the highway to get to a lot of the classes that students would need to. And I've already had the talk with students, you know, Mrs. Weber, these are the working poor. Our students are working really hard. They have children. A 45-minute drive each way and gasoline, that's not gonna, I can't tell somebody to go pursue an associate's degree like that. I believe that we are really going to need fully online. And I know there are throughout the state, but I don't know if everybody's aware that this is a barrier for some students, for a lot of students. And I can see the stress. And you know what I tell them? You know what? There are online options for you to do this. And we can map you out all the way to that counselors, that MFT you want. You can do the whole thing and get up to there and then do the MFT locally. Like I have these kinds of conversations, but we need to be able to map for them. We can't just, it's not about just getting them to the college. It's about having that longitudinal view with them and really helping them see, because a lot of them do have the vision of where they want to go. They're sure of it. And some aren't sure, but they do know they can't commit to that kind of a life where they're driving back and forth like that, even if it's episodic. That's just my feedback.
Yeah, I think, you know, across the state, we've kind of seen that, right? You see a lot of that with the students that were at the universities during the pandemic and saw that they were paying a lot more for an online course that they could take at the community college, right? So they went to what was more feasible for them, right? Being able to take these classes that were online. The flip side of that coin is we have a lot of our students that were unable to take any classes online, right? Because of family, digital literacy skills, right? Having computers and things of that nature. So I think, you know, just really finding what the students need and really catering to that and making sure that we're providing them with that service. You know, if it's not necessarily us, we have a sister school or this other school that we recommend that could potentially offer, you know, 100% online associate's degrees. But I think we fall into that same challenge, because once they get to the university now, if they want to continue their education, the universities are they cater even less to the students than to our non-traditional students per se, right? So I think across it's always one thing or another where there's certain students with certain needs that it's not being met.
thank you for those questions. We have 3 minutes remaining. If anybody has any questions, just, you know, unmute. If not, we could give you back 3 minutes of your time for a bio break before the next sessions. I don't see any other hands raised or any questions in the chat. Do appreciate it. There is a comment from, you know, what North Orange is offering. Thank you for posting that. Want to thank everybody for being here. I don't know, Maria and Pete, if there's any last minute words you'd like to give, but I just say thank you to everyone for coming to listen to our session.
Yes, thank you guys for the great questions too.
Thank you all.
So enjoy the rest of your day.
Is
Diana,
there
are you there?
Is there an evaluation that we need to fill out?
I think they put it in the chat.
It's in the chat, yeah. It came from the tech host.
Thank you.
Are you there, Diana? Maybe she's not listening to us, really.
Oh,
You're there. Yay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just listening in. Checking emails in between. Stuff. How about you guys?
We're good. We just wanted to say hello to you. It's always exciting to hear from you.
Oh, Let me open my camera.
With
Hi
your new
there, there I
background.
am.
There you are.
Yeah, I always like to hear what you're up to because I feel like you guys have been doing this maybe the longest, right? You first presented this at the summit in Orange County at
Gosh,
Universal.
yeah, going all the way back to then, yes. And then at the Cape Summits and everything.
So that's good. I'm glad you're still sharing some of the tips, but it's just funny because I was in another transition session and I'll talk with Neil about it later, but it just seems like everybody has these seem to have the same struggles with, like you were talking about, the dual enrollment form, the check boxes, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, when Neil's giving expertise, I just sit back.
I mean, I'm glad he joined us. You know, it's always good to have someone that can speak to the higher level of why things work or don't work. So
yeah, definitely.
When are we going to see you again in the Inland Empire?
I think there's a meeting coming up the first week or second week of November.
Oh, okay.
And then at Palm Springs.
That's true. Were you able to get a hotel?
Well, I booked one at the same Marriott as you, but I'm trying to work my way through the CDE protocols because want to talk about bureaucracy. You're supposed to go through this certain state travel reservation system to reserve your hotels and everything. And then, I don't know, somehow that gets to I always want to call them like receptionist, administrative assistant kind of person or whatever. Oh, there's Holly.
Hey, Holly.
And I wasn't approved in that system when I made my reservation. So I'm trying to figure out how to get that over there. So look, it's the real Holly. It's not Gino. Tell us about your classes on windows and sliding doors.
I rebuilt all 85 of my lesson plans. That's all I know because that's what I'm asking for a
You gotta
raise
go, Maria?
based on.
I got my next meeting. See you guys.
Maria.
Bye, Maria.
So Patricia accidentally lost internet connection. She called me. I'm in, but I think you guys pretty much have
We were
this
done.
covered.
Yeah, we're just visiting.
finished. Yeah, we're just chatting now with Diana.
Okay.
We're
I'm
done.
dropping the eval link. She said she already dropped it, but
Yeah, and it looks like Jorge dropped it too. So
Oh, yeah, I dropped it.
Jorge's
Oh,
my
okay.
Jorge's my backup tech person.
Yeah.
I travel. I don't leave home without him.
right. So Jorge, can I ask a
Yes.
tech question? Why does my laptop think I'm in airplane mode?
because you travel
Uh,
all the time.
Oh,
It might be picking up that you travel, and there's a thing in the settings actually that you can change, you can tweak around with when you
Okay.
want it on airplane mode or not.
It's the most bizarre thing because it's showing that I'm connected to my internet, but that little airplane icon is still there.
It's
Yeah.
not, you're not on airplane mode. It's telling you, Diana, get on a plane.
Travel.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so if you go to your settings, there should be a thing on there.
Yep.
That says whether you're on.
Comes up, but I think I clicked it again, which was the mistake.
You're on Windows, right? Or Apple?
Yeah, Windows,
Yeah.
the
Can you go to
CDE
Win-
computer. Oh,
that's why.
this
it's
time
even-
it went off. See, I just need Jorge in the room, Emma. That's all I need.
Yeah.
That's why I bring him along because the computer
Bring him
instantly
along.
knows Jorge's here. It works.
Intimidation? He intimidates the computers.
So will all of you be at the CCAE?
Mhm.
Except Jorge. Jorge's got a previous engagement every year. He has a previous engagement.
Yeah, it's my
His
birthday.
birthday.
Everybody lands on my birthday. My birthday weekend.
Well, happy birthday in advance.
Thanks.
But Maria, Pete, and I will be there, and we're going to be with you at the Marriott.
Oh, perfect.
So that's going to be the party place.
Good.
Holly, are you coming?
Where is this?
No, CCAE South.
No, I don't ever get to travel. You know that.
Well, yesterday they were talking about how great it would be for you to go to Casas. How can we pull that off?
I mean, I've never been. I would like to go, although now that I have a baby, who knows?
I heard about that. Congratulations on your adoption.
Oh,
The happiest
Thank you.
baby.
The happiest baby. Yeah, Diana came and visited me and I got the stomach flu. Sorry.
Oh, did Diana bring it to you?
No. I'm just grateful it wasn't food poisoning because we had made
Yeah.
this big dinner and I'm like, please don't tell me I got everyone sick.
Oh,
Yeah, hopefully by February, March, we will have adopted her and legally changed her name.
that's very good.
Oh.
Yes, that name needs to be changed.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just can't. They named her Felony because her dad was arrested on 4 felony warrants.
She adopted her out of,
CPS.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
she tested positive for 5 different drugs. She had meth, opiates, marijuana, crack, and fentanyl that the baby
That was
tested
at 8
positive
months,
for.
right?
No, that was at birth.
Oh,
Oh my God.
I got her when she was 6 months old when they realized that she was going to go to adoption.
Wow.
So she's a very happy little girl.
You rescued a life, Holly.
I did, and I finally have a girl.
Yes.
Yay.
I'm
and
too
she's
old
so
for
happy
this.
she kept chasing Veronica's little puppy around.
Yeah. Dog.
I was trying to give her a New York accent. She wasn't going for it. I'll work on it though.
All right, you guys
Great
are
to see
good.
you.
This room is open until what, 2:15, so you guys can chat for 10 more minutes if you need to.
I
Or
got another meeting to go to, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I just wanted to, we're like hoping Diana was there and not just like logged in on and left.
oh, this has been recording this whole time. So what I will do is when we work on the recordings, I will splice out everything from when it officially.
Luckily, we didn't say anything that shouldn't have been said.
Right,
Yeah.
Neil knows though, he's there, I'm quiet, so.
No hot mic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, bye,
We don't
everybody.
have
Have
to
a
worry
good rest of
about
your
that.
afternoon.
All
Bye.
right, have a good
Bye.
afternoon.
See you later.
Bye.